And we're live. Welcome to the show. So, back live on this channel, and I'm joined by two very special guests, friends of the show, Charlie of Crypto Mindset and Miguel of Dollar Cost Crypto. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Hey, Troy. It's good to be here, and thanks for having us again. Yeah,
Not at all. Not at all. Good to see you guys, as always.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's been a lot of momentous news in the space over the last little while. But perhaps the most momentous piece of news is you've got an amazing new haircut.
Yeah.
So how did that come about?
Well, you just figured to change things up, but yeah, apparently we have this thing in this kind of joke going on in on my channel. Basically, whenever I cut my hair or my beard, shave my beard, basically the market starts going down. So I don't know if I should grow a playoff beard or what, but we'll see how it goes here over the next few weeks.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. Well, listen, for regular viewers on this channel, obviously my bread and butter content, I guess, is dating, relationships, a bit of the sort of sexual marketplace stuff, but within the broader sphere, I like to talk about lifestyle, and I like to talk about guys leveraging the opportunities available to us to the best possible ability. And without any shadow of a doubt, cryptocurrency is a big part of that, because we've seen within our own sphere, haven't we? We've seen people go from fairly humble origins to making life-changing amounts of money, right? So I think anybody who's looking at their life, any guy who's looking at their life in the rounds, you need to think, okay, well, dating and stuff, that's one thing, but really more importantly is, okay, so what money am I making? What am I doing with my money, et cetera, et cetera? And cryptocurrency it needs to be a string to guys' bows these days, doesn't it? Without any shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, it's not going away, and it's something that I think is one of the best opportunities of this decade to, basically secure your freedom. A lot of people that follow us and have had success with the course that we do, which is like we mentioned before, the Crypto Mindset course. All of that has basically been changing guys' lives. A lot of guys, especially after, like, for example, some guys after a divorce, right? If they feel like, maybe I can't keep all of my funds, right? Because of how the current court systems work, especially in the United States, they might, like one of the first guys I had a consultation with back in 2019, he was in that situation. He's like, I literally only have $7,000 to my name. Like, how do I make this work? And like he had, a couple of kids, and his ex-wife was taking more money than she needed for, quote unquote, to help them, but she was just using it for herself, apparently. I'm not going to say obviously anything about this person or who they are, because I don't think anybody would be able to guess it. But generally speaking, it was kind of a sad story. And I met him in person one time, and really, really good guy. And we were like, yeah, let's double that $7,000, right? Buy some Bitcoin here. And that was in 2019, when I think Bitcoin at the time was about $6,000. And when it got up, above $12,000 that year, we're like, yeah, sell it. You just doubled your money. Now you have twice as much of your own savings. And now if you keep it in like a stable coin or in crypto throughout that time, then you're going to have money that, is yours, right? 100% yours.
Yeah.
I think that's really useful for just that particular case. There's a bunch of different other cases as well for guys that, for example, there's also a bunch of young guys that we teach, trying to build themselves up from their early 20s. And they don't have really a good way to save money because the banks aren't really in your favor currently at the moment. And they probably won't change into that, into anything good in the near future. So all these different things are extremely helpful for guys.
Absolutely, yes. Got a couple of guys in here. Gary saying, not sure what this channel is all about, but I'm here for the dynamic duo, which is all good with me. It's all good with me. Mike,
we sent everybody from our channel over here,
exactly.
Go over and subscribe to Troy, because he always has good content.
Yeah, thanks guys. No, I mean, listen, like a lot of my content is about men's lifestyle. A lot of it is about dating and relationships in the modern world. But as I said before, we've got to be broader than that, right? And one of the key pillars in any man's life, in anyone's life, is their money, what they're doing with their money, how they're growing their money. Because from that, of course, comes, if you do it right, from that comes freedom, or at least the ability not to be tied down in one geographical location, and et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's a big thing that you can get to in the crypto world, isn't it? Because obviously this is you can be managing your portfolio wherever you are on the planet. But I mean, ultimately, to me, I mean, money is all about freedom, right? And getting money ultimately is about freedom. And I think that what you guys offer is a route for people to achieve that.
Correct. Miguel, do you want to mention any maybe stories that you've had helping people achieve that as well?
Yeah, for sure. I've had a couple clients and stuff and everything especially over this year and stuff and last year, where they took their portfolios from like, I'll say like $15,000 or so until maybe like $500,000. $400,000 in that range. It's probably a little higher right now, but it's really interesting just seeing them kind of evolve from that point and stuff and everything. Me and Charlie both have had clients together where they took a little bit more, maybe something like 40,000, and they're now in the million status, multi-million status. It's this wonderful thing, right? But you should see how people's lives change. And one thing that we also do when you have such an increase in like your wealth and stuff, some people actually stay in the mentality that they were beforehand as well for a while. There's a lot of instances where I'm talking to some of these guys, and some of these guys are young, and some of these guys are in their early 30s as well. This has happened to them, and I'm talking to them, and he's like, "Hey man, you got $700 in your bank account, and you got $500,000 in crypto, man."
Yeah.
So I had to forcefully tell somebody, I was like, "Hey man, put $20,000 in your checking accounts and get some food, my dude. Come on."
Stop eating ramens.
Yeah, you got to remember the basics, right?
Right.
So obviously, key reason that we're on today catching up is that the course Crypto Mindset is reopening. In fact, it's open now, and if guys would like to join, and you absolutely should, because we'll go into the reasons in a second, but it is literally life-changing content. Then the link to join is below. And I also put it in the chat, but I'll put it into the chat again. But obviously, we want to keen to get to know what's happening in the course this time, what the differences are going to be to the last time it opened, and so on. One key thing I wanted to know, because obviously this is all about live training, live webinar training.
Right.
So when are the webinars starting this time, and what sort of schedule are you looking at?
Yep, the webinars will be starting on Friday, June 18th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're going based on U.S. time. We'll have two webinars every single day at 10 a.m. Eastern and 10 p.m. Eastern from the 18th until about the 30th of June, till the end of the month. We'll have a couple off days in between so people can kind of rest up, recharge their batteries, maybe do some review, because it's pretty intense, to be honest.
It's an intense schedule, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's more like a boot camp, I would say. We've had some guys, who've been like ex-military or some even current military guys jump in the course. They say, yeah, it's exactly like that, where you just like get a fire hose of information, you hear it.
Yeah.
Luckily, we have the recordings, so people can kind of just jump onto the recordings if they've either missed a webinar or down the road later in the quarter or later in the year they want to review what they have learned. And spaced repetition is the best way to learn. And so if you can take notes, really engage during the live bits, ask the questions that you want to ask, you really get the most out of it. But even if your schedule only allows you to attend a portion of the course, we do have the recorded portions. So that's kind of the deal that we got going on there. And every single webinar is its own subject. So that's 20 different subjects throughout the course. And I would say, Miguel, do you want to mention a little bit about some of the differences between this course and the last one that we had up?
Every course we add a little bit more of a flavor to the course, especially this time around, because of the added volatility. Volatility is both good. Like, people think volatility is bad. No, volatility is good, because that's when a lot of money can be made. So you have a lot of big macro events happening in the for the upcoming quarter. You have the parachain auctions for Kusama and DOT. You have a possible temporary flippening of Ethereum of Bitcoin. You have the launching of the Pulse chain for the Hex community, which is pretty big. So these are some big ecosystem plays that's going on for Solana, Polkadot, Kusama, Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and you have a bunch of other sort of stuff that's kind of going on. EIP 1559 for Ethereum is a really big one. So you have a really bullish scenario where there's going to be a lot of places to actually make quite a lot of money and stuff. So we're going to be breaking down these, we call them the plays. We're going to give you the most conservative way to do one of the plays. So let's just say the Bitcoin to Ethereum ratio. We tell you this is probably the safest way to do it. If you're going to attempt it, a little more degenerate, really degenerate. and and obviously there's more risk to it, but there's more reward. So if you, let's just say for the most degenerate version of it, just give you little notes.
Super degenerate.
Let's go all the way to the top.
Go to the moon tomorrow, baby. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's just say Ethereum, passes Bitcoin. You sell your Ethereum into cash, and then now you're gambling on hopefully Bitcoin and Ethereum both go down. Bitcoin goes back into first place, and then you buy back all your Ethereum, and then really get multiples. I mean, the possibilities is almost getting something close to 3 times the amount of Ethereum you end up trading.
Wow, yeah,
it's pretty significant. But that's all. You're no longer you're adding all the elements of those events happening, and then on top of that, you're just essentially just hoping and praying that the price doesn't just keep going up, and then you get out of position. And that's why it's a little more degenerate and stuff. But there's like safer plays where you just do one simple swing, very easy. That's it, and you lock in the profits. Very nice. So we'll be able to we'll handhold a lot of guys and show them what we're talking about, and then show them the charts and the ratios and everything to do all this, as well as this course is going to have an explanation of the Pulse ecosystem, which is pretty much the only one in the entire world that's going to be talking about Pulse in this much detail. Because
can you explain briefly what Pulse is? Because I mean, Troy, you're aware of obviously Ethereum and Bitcoin. I'm assuming, right? Right, Troy.
Second, sorry, repeat that.
Yeah, you're aware of both Bitcoin and Ethereum, correct?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to explain it in relation to Ethereum?
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is a brand. So what's going on is the Hex community is making their own Ethereum ecosystem. So they're making their own Ethereum because of sort of the gas fees. There's a lot of projects on Ethereum that are having trouble with the high gas fees. Right now, the gas fees are really low and cheap right now, which is great time to be buying on Uniswap and all that stuff, and Matcha and everything. But at a certain point, when the prices start picking up on Ethereum, the gas prices are going to shoot up as well. So a lot of these projects who have something called like a high S load, or just it's basically like a computation per transaction, their fee is astronomical.
Yeah.
So right now, what they're doing is they're forking over and creating the largest airdrop in history, which that pretty much means is every coin that you have on Ethereum is going to get copied over and given to you for free on that other system.
Right. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be the biggest airdrop in history. It's a huge money making event. Basically, what you have to do is just hold any coins you can hold on your MetaMask or in your private keys off exchanges. So all the coins you want them off of Coinbase in your personal custody. You'll be airdropped a 1-for-1 copy of those tokens on the new platform, and then it becomes sort of the game of Hunger Games at that point.
Wow.
Which tokens retain value in the new system and which ones just go to zero, basically.
Yeah.
And there's quite a lot of money to be made on that airdrop. Yeah.
Wow. That sounds incredible, really. I mean, if guys can get on that, that's going to be an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, I would say we have at least, a handful of webinars each quarter, maybe almost, we probably have more than a handful, but we have a handful of webinars each quarter that we specifically focus on making guys more money than the course costs, right? Within that quarter, ideally. Sometimes we accomplish that within the webinars themselves, within that 10 days to 2 weeks of the webinars themselves. It's $797 for the course in US dollars, which is, to be honest, peanuts for the amount of information that you get. It's about 4 to 5 years of condensed information. So if you want to save yourself that much time from learning this space, that's what you get.
Yeah, well, I was in the webinars last time, and it's just it's very dense. There's a lot of information. Not to say it's not fun, because obviously there's a bit of banter and a bit of degeneracy. Of course, but there is just a ton of information in there. And for me personally, I was able to make some of the AM sessions. I wasn't always able to make the PM sessions because of the time difference. So then I would watch back the PM sessions later on the replays, and you're able to sort of get a pretty rounded view from there. But there is a ton of information. You guys, how do you prep for it, right? Because it must be like being a rock star and going on some mad tour or something to do this.
Well, we're spending a lot of time, right? So we have to prep a month or so in advance, right? At least basically by the time the course finishes, we're starting to prep ideas for the next quarter. And obviously the market changes every single weak in crypto. So that
Yeah.
we have to basically kind of flow with that. So we could create a structure that we have to follow, but then obviously we have to be onto the market all day, every day, and to stick
Yeah.
with it to give you guys the condensed information.
Yeah, exactly. So, talking about the somebody saying I'm just here to stalk
Yeah.
Charlie and Miguel, which is good to know. So, talking about the market, because obviously since last time you guys were on, we've seen pretty dramatic falls in Bitcoin and then the other altcoins as well as a result. And there's some stabilization now, but obviously, and then there was the whole Elon Musk thing, which got a lot of people hot under the collar, let's say, and various other things that came into play. I mean, just what overall, and I know it's a very complicated question, but I mean, overall, what are your feelings on the market as yet? And I mean, we're still in the bull market, you would say, even in spite of these things, or what's your feeling on all of those issues?
Yeah, I would say we're both in agreement that we're still in a bull market. I would say, if I were to put it super simply, like if Bitcoin holds well above 30,000, Ethereum well above 2,000, for the most part, that's still pretty bullish in my opinion. I mean, it was less than 6 months ago when Bitcoin broke above 20 and 24K. So, I mean, the prices that we're at now compared to where we're at the beginning of the year, we're still up. And so, we're still doing better than a lot of other markets out there. But Miguel, did you have any thoughts on breaking that down?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're definitely still in the bull market right now. We're, because of all the things we have just talked about that are happening in late this quarter and then quarter 3 that's coming up. There's a huge upgrade for Ethereum coming out, which is called EIP 1559. It's basically like so do you know about the Bitcoin halving? You know what that is with Bitcoin?
The halving.
The halving, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, Ethereum's going to have their own version of that, except it's going to be like 3 of them in one day.
Wow. Okay.
Supply reduction or supply shortage, basically, by quite a lot.
Right. So it's gonna allow you to finally be able to do Ethereum staking. So now when you have Ethereum, you can actually hold it and actually earn a dividend off of it on chain, okay, which is pretty good. So now your Ethereum generates an income. Then from there,
what platform is that going to be on? Is that going to be their own platform?
Yeah, it's on its own platform. Yeah, it's on its own platform, but there is like secondary uses and stuff. So there is platforms they'll probably be able to stake on Coinbase, Kraken. You can stake on Lido or Rocket Pool or any of those other places, and you leave your coins there, or you do it yourself. But you need to have 32 Ethereum, which is actually quite a bit of money right now.
Yeah.
But so you'll be able to do it on some exchanges and stuff, or some joint custody sort of thing. Or on Celsius, which will also offer it, and then you leave it there, and you're probably going to be earning like between a 5 to 12% sort of dividend annualized, more or less, just depending on how many people are staked in the pool, which is pretty interesting. And but that's the first part. So there's an income now to Ethereum, which really helps out the entire altcoin market, which then kind of propels kind of like more money to slosh around, more interest to go up, and eventually I think we'll start lifting Bitcoin up and stuff. But on top of that, you also have a destruction of total supply of Ethereum as well. So you're making Ethereum more rarer. You're also making it deflationary over time.
Okay. Yeah.
So this just helps out for price appreciation, as well as morale for people, because it's more of a thing like it's rare, and it causes the price to go up, which is just good for the overall crypto market.
Yeah. Why are they moving towards this staking model then? Is this similar to the Celsius kind of thing?
In a way. A lot of the coins on Celsius, the way they generate yield is they take those coins and stake them natively for you.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then a part of the other, like the one half gets staked natively, the other half essentially gets lent out, or they use it to yield farm, which is essentially they lend it out to DeFi players in the space to then generate more of a yield, and then they bring that yield back to you. And because they're such a large player, they get better deals basically in the space. Yeah. And that's kind of what they're doing. It's a pretty cool model. The reason they're doing that is basically when you have a lot of miners, and miners aren't bad, but the problem is when you own a Bitcoin mining operation or an Ethereum mining operation, what tends to happen is the miners have electricity costs, they have equipment, employees, and also sort of regulation in terms of just like possible, like let's just say you're in China and the Chinese government says, well, you can't mine anymore. Oh shit. Well, you just lost your business. So what ends up happening is that most miners are dumping about 80 to 90% of the coins that they get. So there's a consistent sort of like selling of coins into the market, which kind of hurts the price.
Yeah.
So Ethereum wants to go to a model, and then the thing is because of it's so prohibitive in cost to even be profitable as a miner. Most people can't even be a miner. So they've allowed more of a democratization of the mining, which is a mistake. You just own an Ethereum. If you have a certain amount of Ethereum, or you and your buddies get together, you guys can start validating transactions and earning your own Ethereum as a reward, like the miners do. Except now the cost to be a miner is pretty much zero, other than the coins itself, which makes it pretty nice. It's a stable income. There's not much upkeep. There's a little bit of an upkeep in terms of the computer if you do it yourself, or you partner with some other person and then you guys share sort of the cost of doing that. But the costs are so dramatically lower that, I mean, it's insane. I mean, just the profit margins alone are probably like 80% compared to probably like 20% for the miners. So and two, on top of that, you don't have to sell any of the coins.
Yeah.
So it's just overall really good for the price of Ethereum. Basically, it's Ethereum kind of trying to push itself up in dominance over a lot of the other coins in the space.
Yeah. Cool, fantastic. Well, that's another great opportunity there. With the, I suppose it's kind of old news now, really, but with the Elon Musk comments about Bitcoin and what he did, do you see that as being a threat in terms of this green agenda, right? You know, if that is a concern for some people. I mean, I know there are other coins emerging, aren't there, that are sort of mitigating these things, but is that something that you see as being a threat for Bitcoin or for the market in general?
It's a narrative that they're trying to push. I mean, it's like, how often do we generally listen to the mainstream media, right? It's like, for most people, a lot, right? But for, I think, people in the red pill space, we understand that mainstream media is not necessarily your friend. So if you look at the statistics on Bitcoin specifically, there's about 76% of the Bitcoin currently mined is mined with renewable energy. Actually, one interesting thing that's kind of been cool here the last few days is El Salvador has a lot of geothermal energy with volcanoes. And so they're looking to mine Bitcoin with volcano energy, basically El Salvador of all things, right? So it's interesting kind of how creative people are getting with this. El Salvador recently made Bitcoin an official currency in that country. So I think it's more of a narrative that people like Elizabeth Warren want to push, and which is kind of like a misnomer, to be honest.
No, I'm sure. I mean, what I was wondering was not so much, I mean, wherever people stand on the, the green agenda and whatever you think of, the realities of all of that stuff. The idea, my question was more, if because obviously more widely there is this concern about green issues and stuff, and if people feel like cryptocurrencies are not efficient in that way, is that going to cause a wider sort of problem for the market, or do you think that's just
it's all temporary? So like when Elon says that, right, basically it's kind of like crying wolf. A few times it might actually be effective, which it was, right? Over time people learn better, and I would say, it pushes down the price temporarily, but we've gotten this with Bitcoin numerous times. Like one of the things they like to throw, which this is called FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, that people, especially like, politicians and stuff, like to put in there. And we've gotten, different things like criminals use Bitcoin for terrorism and all this bullshit, where less than 1% of activity on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies is illicit. So people generally figure out over time that that's incorrect. And right now, I think one way that Wall Street's trying to use that is for actually Ethereum has that advantage since it doesn't use any energy, minus, just like normal computing power, basically for proof of stake. And in that regard, I think Wall Street and probably people who are backing the green agenda would actually want to back Ethereum over Bitcoin in that case. So for, the short term, I think that might be the narrative.
Right.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And if there's guys watching this and they haven't yet set foot into crypto, And I think most people watching this definitely have, because they're all fans. There are loads of fans of yours in here today, which is great. But if there are people who watch this and they, they're interested, but they haven't taken the plunge yet, they don't hold anything, is now a good time, would you say? I mean, of course, there are a lot of advantages at the moment because the prices are a little bit lower. So, yeah, what would your message be for those people who are quite new to this?
I would say it's fantastic timing. If you look at a lot of people who are long-term people in the crypto space, they look at this timing as an accumulation event, time to start gathering coins. And right now, I mean, we've talked with different bankers in the last couple of weeks through our consultations, also through different meetings that we've had. And they're all accumulating. Like the banks right now, the people who are the institutional investors, the people with the big money, they are buying. And that's a good opportunity to continue getting more. Now, don't spend all of your money at once in one place, right? I think DCC, his name obviously is dollar cost crypto, right? Talking about dollar cost averaging into crypto. I don't know if you want to go over how that would work for somebody who's new into crypto DCC.
Yeah, sure. So let's just say as an example, right? Somebody has $10,000 to invest, right? Obviously, I would, the average person will say, okay, so where are my $10,000 going into this one coin, right? So we would give a sort of a starting block in terms of a portfolio we'd recommend for somebody who's completely novice. From there, we would have them get into positions by slowly dollar cost averaging. So it'd be something like they would initially purchase about 20% or $2,000 right off the bat, instantly. Then from there, they would start on a weekly basis, start kind of laddering in. So somewhere between 10 to 15% every week, maybe a little bit sooner, maybe a little bit more. If it's pressing, we obviously tell the guys, right now these prices aren't going to last. So maybe put a little more speed on it. But if the prices are seem like it's trending towards lower prices, we just have them kind of dollar cost average in, which just gets them a lower cost basis for their coins.
Yeah.
This way they get very comfortable with buying cryptocurrencies. It's also practice. And then, we have them buy on Coinbase or Kraken or Gemini, then take those coins off of there, put them in their own custody on a MetaMask, which is basically an Ethereum wallet, or a Trezor, which we tell people to buy on its official website. Never buy a cold storage wallet on Amazon or Google or eBay. You always buy it from the manufacturer.
Right. Could they be compromised if you just buy it off Amazon? Could it be
correct?
Yeah. Scary.
You are your own bank in crypto, and there are custody services, right, that you can use in crypto to give your funds to somebody else so that you can earn some interest on them and stuff like that, like you mentioned, Troy, with Celsius. But when you want to have more personal freedom and also more control of your wealth in terms of say in what happens with your wealth, then it takes self-responsibility. And I think that's one thing that the red pill space definitely has a lot of guys who definitely want to take on more self-responsibility. And I think that's something that we're not really taught in school, right? Because we don't get taught finance traditionally in most countries when we're going through like junior high school, which I think is really not good, because it's every single day of our lives we're working for money, right? Like that's a huge part of our human life, and we're not taught how to protect that or how to manage that ourselves. For the most part, we have to learn that ourselves in our adult lives, which I think is a detriment to most people in society. And so it makes people very fearful that, oh man, I have to protect my own money, or I have to take care of my own money. But once you have done that for a short period of time, you get used to it, and then you figure out it's not that scary after all. For most people, not everybody.
Well, that's an interesting point, because some people seem more attuned to money matters in general, right? Some people seem to be more just adept at it. If there's somebody who says, well, to be honest, it's maybe not my strength, to know about money generally, let alone cryptocurrencies. However, I like the sound of this. I want to, try to profit from this and prosper from this. For those sorts of people, this is relatively. The great thing about your course, of course, is you're hand-holding people through the process, right? But it's possible for those people to get adept at this stuff as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like what you talk about with dating when, like there's guys like, from the black pill community and saying, oh, I'm never gonna like look like a Chad, or I can never, like attract women and all this shit. Like they just be pessimists to the extreme and just basically idiots, right?
Yeah.
Or just like doomsdayer people, right? And I'm not saying like, I'm just giving an extreme example as a kind of a counterpoint, right? And I would say most people have the ability to do this. I think, there's been some people during consultations that have asked me like, hey, Charlie, things are sometimes difficult for me to learn, or, I'm not, some people just straight up say, I'm not that bright, Charlie. Like, can I do this? And I've said yes. And like, we have people here today who, have asked me that question and who have done very, very well in cryptocurrency. I think everybody can do it. And it's just one of these things that, mainly just takes a little bit of persistence, right? And not giving up, because most people, when they try a new skill, they tend to give up quite quickly or think, oh, I'm just not good at that, so that's not something that I can do, right? Whereas if you look at it from the more optimistic point of view of it's something that I can learn, it's just a matter of putting in the time and the effort and the work to be able to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Because without a doubt, there are. Would you say it's a steep learning curve at the beginning? I guess it's reasonably steep, isn't it? There's a lot to get your head around.
Especially with crypto. I think that's why we do the course, because a lot of people out there are like, this is a brand new world for us. It's kind of like, AOL and the internet back in the early 90s. Like you'd ask people like, what's an @ sign? And people like, I have no clue. I have never even like turned on a personal computer, right? In 10 years, you're going to get people being like, OnlyFans and using Venmo and all these things. It's going to be like, once you start seeing, I mean, John likes to mention this on Modern Life Dating quite a lot. He likes to mention, once you started seeing chicks with OnlyFans accepting crypto, it's like, it's done, right? We're in the mainstream
now. What a meeting of worlds, right? And you do get some sort of like TikTok crypto chicks, don't you, as well? Hot crypto chicks.
Yeah, they're trying to get those Sims cash for sure.
Yeah.
Or their crypto.
Yeah. So it's all joining together. But we've got quite a few questions coming up in the chat. If anyone's got any questions for the guys, please do put them into the chat. But maybe we could have a look at a couple of things. There was a really good comment here from somebody who. Yeah, this was a good comment. So Bull Run Bingham says, lads, I've spent the last 20 years as a white-collar slave. I'm now 15 years into a 30-year mortgage, a rat on the treadmill. But now via Charlie and DCC, I'm on track to pay the vampires back, which is, that is a pretty... Progress. Yeah, that is a pretty positive message, isn't it? Which is, I mean, like you say, people say this is the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of the world and things like that. I mean, and I, without going into cliches, I guess that's true, right? If you position yourself correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for 4.5, 5 years now, since early 2017, and just the timeline of how much you get to like personal freedom, how quick it happens in hindsight. It doesn't feel like it at the time. It does feel like a slog, like a grind for sure. But just looking back on my progress, I'm just like, damn, like it's quick, because I basically got into crypto around May of 2017. I just bought $1,000 Ethereum to start. And then, I did really good in my sales job in my company at that time. And so I threw a lot more money at crypto. Perfect timing in 2017 with the market going up. Learned a lot as the market came down in 2018, didn't go away, kept learning this bit by bit. And finance wasn't my strong suit, at that time. Not at all. And I wasn't really interested in it to begin with anyways, but I was just like, this really just got my gears turning. And once you start making money with it, that's why we always kind of recommend people to put a little bit of skin in the game, because once you have a little skin in the game, you see if it kind of floats your boat a little bit, right? And like once you start seeing those gains, like as soon as most people buy, they lose a little bit of money. Like when I first bought Ethereum, it was at $90 and then it went down to 80 or 75. And I was like, oh no, but I put in, only the amount of money I was willing to lose. Right. And so then it started going up and I ignored it for about a couple months. 2 months later, I look at it, it's like $400. I'm like, shit, I Forex my money, turned 1,000 into 4,000 in like 2 months. I might want to learn about this,
Yeah.
And then, the last thing I was going to say was about a year and a half after that, then I quit my job and went full-time crypto. And so, at the time it didn't feel, that year and a half didn't feel like, it felt like I was learning a lot because crypto moves so fast. But then looking back and I'm like, shit, it was like less than 2 years after I started this journey that I had my first step towards like true self-sovereignty. To me, that's like absolutely amazing because most people, they can't do that in 20 years.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's incredible. And what about you, Miguel? Were you from a finance background before this, or what was your?
No,
how
I
did you
mean,
come into it?
I've been in. I pretty much own my own business since I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
I started with like actually a landscape, and then eventually ended up into an irrigation business.
Oh, right.
that,
Cool.
that I ran for like 12 years. I'm not really running them anymore. I'm having other people run them for me now.
Yeah.
Because I'm full time crypto now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It took me a while to actually let it go because anytime you have a baby that you actually like kind of nurture for 12 years,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard. But eventually, I just had other people kind of run it for me. But in terms of like a finance background, I had been in equity since maybe like 2013 up until like about 2017, where then all the money I accumulated into equities, I essentially just threw them into cryptocurrencies. And my last bit of money in equities was pretty much in 2019. I just said, you know what? If this market takes it from me, it takes it from me. and I threw it in, and I jumped, baptism through fire, and then learned the market. And this market has changed my life. That's for sure. I mean, I made quite a lot of money, as did Charlie, before we even started doing the crypto mindset courses. And we really learned the market and stuff and everything like that. It's been really a wonderful experience just teaching all these guys and stuff and everything. And then that's why me and Charlie are such good teachers, is because we've taught over 1,000 people.
Yeah,
literally over 1,000 people, and we've been teaching these courses for over a year now, and doing consultations for much longer than that actually. And we've taken people who from like not knowing how to do anything to like they're full-fledged DeFi warriors out here in the crypto space, in the cryptoverse, and these guys are wheeling and dealing and talking in the lingo in a very short, small amount of time. Usually, within 3 months after the course, the guys are pretty self-sufficient. By 6 months, they're very, very competent.
Wow.
That doesn't happen to people outside of that. It usually takes people about 2 years, maybe 2.5 years before they get really comfortable with it, playing around by themselves.
Yeah, because that's the other problem, isn't it? That there's so much information out there. I mean, if you just look on YouTube, and there's just so many people who've got channels, there's so many people talking about this stuff. And there is this whole problem of like, well, firstly, how do I know, who to trust? And secondly, there's so many disparate bits of information all over the place. How do you bring that all together and understand it,
Yeah, I think with one thing that I recommend people who are maybe newer, right? So there's like if you're like, okay, now is a good opportunity, and you get somebody who vouches for somebody. So for example, like somebody who's taken the course before, like many guys in the chat, or like yourself who's been in the course, right? These people recommend things not because there's zero incentive for them to recommend it. So, when you hear people, basically organically saying, hey, this is something, I think that's one way to look at it. If you're really, really like a pessimistic person, like I would recommend watching our YouTube channels, right? My YouTube channel is Cultivate Crypto on YouTube, and then DCC's is Dollar Cost Crypto on YouTube. And we do shows, multiple times a week. I do mine 5 days a week. And you can come watch our channel for free as well for a period of time. You can go back, watch some old videos before you purchase the course, see what's like, see what kind of information we've been putting out, and what you think about it, right? So we always recommend people to do their own research. Don't trust, but verify. And I think, there's different ways to verify with the data that we got here today, but then also through our previous episodes on our channel, because we've been doing this a while. But the whole reason why I started doing this in terms of on YouTube and then doing consultations with people as well is because there's so much bullshit out there, especially on Twitter and partially on YouTube as well. People just wanting those clicks, wanting those likes, and not really giving the real information out there. So that's our purpose, is to give the straight and narrow as much as possible for people.
Yeah, and you guys have always been pretty coin agnostic as well, haven't you? In the sense that you're not pushing. Yep. I mean, you do get these guys, and they're clearly just pumping certain coins for their own benefit. And you guys have always sort of looked, these are the pros, these are the cons. This is, these are the things you need to look out for.
Exactly.
Omar says, what do you think about COTI?
Oh, COTI. Yeah, I've looked at that sparingly, to be honest. Haven't looked at the chart recently, but the last time I looked at it, nothing really stood out about it too much. Could take a look at it again if we'd like here today, but generally speaking, doesn't really jump out at me too much when I look at it compared to other cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. And the great thing that I saw you guys that you did last time was you literally give people a sort of well, if you're starting out, this is a good portfolio. These are good coins to hold. But you go through also the top 20 coins or top 30 coins or whatever, however many you do. But you go through and you talk about each coin. So, right, this is what's good. This is what's bad. This is a good strategy with this particular coin, etc. And I think that kind of thing is really, really helpful, particularly at the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. I think people always need a little bit of hand holding to start, a few training wheels, and then we let them gain the momentum along their way. And like Miguel mentioned before, getting what do you call it, after 3 to 6 months, right? People really getting their sea legs. Generally takes some time, but the persistency, as long as you're persistent with this, it's definitely going to help you out.
Yeah. What about actually, we should probably touch on the actual mindset side of things as well, because there's a good quote here. Read the dip. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. Which is, is quite a good way of putting it, really. Obviously we have seen, quite large falls in terms of prices. Just recently. What would you say? Because obviously you've called the course Crypto Mindset. So what would you say about that, and how do guys develop that mindset to be able to withstand some of these things that go on?
Two key principles that you should come to crypto with to begin with, because it is a volatile market, and with volatility comes opportunity, but then also risk, right? So the first two ways to look at it is never put in more money than you're willing to quote unquote lose. That's not because you're intending to lose it, but because it may feel like that at some times if you get in at the wrong period of time. Then the other mentality to kind of come to crypto with is as a long-term savings account. If you take a look at the pattern of Bitcoin over the last decade, it is the best performing asset on earth. And over that period of time, it's done, basically higher lows, which if you look at a chart, basically means it's still in an uptrend long term. So, and it's built that way into the program. So if you tend to hold crypto, specifically Bitcoin or Ethereum, for 4 to 5 years, 99.9% of people are in profit during those periods of time, as long as they just buy and hold. So if you look at it as a long-term savings account in that regard as well, then you're not going to lose. And so, those two principles are kind of key principles to coming into the market. Miguel, would you have any other kind of mindset tips that you would think of for somebody new coming into the market?
Yeah. So one thing we tell people, this is a very volatile market, and we tell the guys, you guys have to get used to volatility, right? You kind of embrace it, right? Unless something's fundamentally has changed about the market, where we confirm it's going to be a bear market, right? Treat it as a buying opportunity. Treating it as a buy. When you're buying, you're not selling, right? It's this whole thing. That's why I push the whole thing with dollar cost averaging, and that's why I call myself dollar cost crypto, is because we tell people in terms of mindset shift, because in cryptocurrencies the returns come in. When they come in hot and heavy. And so we're talking about, on average, if you're holding a token especially over 6 month sort of span, you're going to get somewhere between 3 to about 10, if you're 10 times on your money, if you get lucky, obviously a little bit in terms of the market, if it's favoring towards you. So over time you end up getting quite a bit of returns on coins. And this is where we tell people in the mindset to take your initial capital out of it once you get a certain returns, because it's not like equities where you hold like an entity of all these equities and you get a 7% return for the whole year. And a 7% return in cryptocurrencies is a failure. It's yeah. On average, especially outside of a bear market, in a bull market, you're on average probably doing 300 to 800% returns in a year if you're allocated correctly throughout the cryptocurrency space in terms of your portfolio. So you're going to sit on a lot of profits, especially if you're able to hold over time. If you're able to hold over, especially a longer period of time, just like Charlie said, you're going to be up in a lot of profit. The guys we were telling to buy Bitcoin and Ethereum back in 2019 and early 2020 are doing very well right now. Still are in profit. Their cost bases are so low. Even the guys who bought in early 2020 are doing pretty good, even early 2021. It's this whole sort of baptism through fire that ends up happening, that you get sort of a little run up, run down, then run up again, right? So right now we're in the run down, which is the great time to be purchasing cryptocurrencies.
Yes.
Once we started running back up, people started wishing I wish I had bought more. There's this whole thing almost like keeping up with the Joneses, or like a reverse keeping up with the Joneses, where like, oh, I wish I should have bought, I had the money there and I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
It's just, but why is it so difficult? Because it's like we all know the principles, don't we? We all know the principle that when everyone else is, who is it that said when everyone else is scared, that's when you invest? Maybe
one
it
of
was
the Rockefellers, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's such an obvious principle, but why do we find it so difficult? I think it's just human nature, isn't it? You're seeing all the headlines, you're seeing all this negativity, and you're like, oh shit,
Emotions versus logic is pretty simple. Like a lot of people, everybody thinks that they're logical to some extent, right? And that they don't act based on their emotions. But we know human nature is by default, we tend to act with our animal brain or with our emotions first. So being able to differentiate that within yourself and have some introspection to be able to do that is very tough, especially in a market maybe you haven't experienced before, which might be brand new. So that's why, it really definitely helps to do that with a group of people or with, experienced people who have done this before, because they can let you know what's normal, what's not normal, and things like this. Because when we first got into crypto, there weren't that many people around us who were doing it. And so we had to learn, the hard way. And so that's also one of the reasons why we do the courses, so that we can give people a community to be able to do this with, because a lot of people, if they try to do it on their own, they usually have a tough time.
Yeah, absolutely. Simon says, opening my first crypto account this week. What's the best platform to use? Coinbase.
So yeah, if he's based in the United States, Coinbase is a really simple, nice one to use. Very easy to set up. I would say try to have one or two others as well, like backups that you may use in the future. Maybe you don't use them at the beginning. Another good one in the US is Kraken, Kraken. Another one is Gemini, based out of New York. So if you're in New York State, Gemini is probably one of the better ones, along with Coinbase. Miguel, did you have any other ones that you want to recommend?
So Kraken's pretty good. If you're international, you can use KuCoin and Binance as well. Those two exchanges, KuCoin and Binance, have a unbelievable amount of tokens. So if you do have access to it, it's pretty incredible. There's another exchange called FTX, which a lot of people internationally have certain places in the United States can use it as well. But FTX is a great place. You can buy Celsius and a bunch of other tokens, as well as also longing and shorting and stuff. So those are the main exchanges around the world. From there, you have a lot of other more kind of second tier or third tier sort of exchanges you got to be very careful about. So I would always go with reputable ones first before signing up to those other ones.
Yes, absolutely. What do you guys think about crypto.com, by the way, as a platform?
Not the greatest, in my opinion. It's useful for some people because it's easier to set up, but personally, I don't use it. But some people like it.
So some people, I've known guys that are, like, for some reason their bank account keeps getting, like, their card keeps getting declined, but on crypto.com it works. So use what you have to use to get your money onboarded, and then just exit stage left with the coins as soon as you get access to them.
And put them into cold storage, then, you mean?
Correct, yeah. Or in a wallet where you have control over it.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But would you, generally speaking, advise guys, I think you do advise guys, don't you, you want to be on several platforms, really. You want to spread this out a little bit.
Yeah, especially, I mean, with your purchases, right? For example, maybe one exchange may go down or have trouble with your bank at some point. So it's always good to have a backup at least. And yeah, if you want to spread coins across different places, that it makes a little bit of redundancy as well. Yeah.
Saint Chocolate says, "You're going to get a Rolex."
I mean, Rolex is, compared to a car, a Rolex is a much better purchase because it's not going to be a depreciating asset. They do hold their value, retain their value very well with the materials they're made of. So maybe down the road, not like the highest priority for me.
Fair enough. Jones has been asking about the refund policy. I don't know if we really want to. I mean,
I
do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, I mentioned it before in the chat. Basically, he was asking if you've already joined the course and then you find out it's not for you, is there a refund? Basically, no. Once you've basically taken the product and started using it, then it's a purchase and no refunds on that. If, for example, you had any issues during the course, or something was maybe not to be expected, let us know. We'll happily discuss it with you, and make sure to help you out, because we want everybody to have a good experience, and everybody that we've had in the course so far has had a good experience. We have a lot of people always giving us good testimonials, good information back. So yeah, happy to discuss that with somebody a little bit more as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are getting like a ton of positive testimonials actually just in the chat here, right? So it just shows you, how many guys out there. And I mean, like I say, I've been on the course myself. I'll be in the course this time. I don't recommend any other crypto course on this channel at all. And in general, I just don't recommend products by people unless I trust those people, unless I trust the quality of what they're doing. And these guys, they're 110%. These guys are on the money. They know what they're talking about. They really, really go out of their way to help people in the course and just on the YouTube channels as well. And this is where you need to be if you want to learn about this stuff.
Thank you.
The Competent Man says, have you guys? I think we covered this already. Really, have you guys recommended clients to weigh up on their crypto to take out some profits, and maybe enough to cover their cost basis to ensure no matter what happens, they'll be up on the trade?
All the time. Yeah. That's the rule of 3. You get a 3 times on your principal. I mean, you get a 3 times on your capital. You take one little bit out, and you leave a little bit to ride on the coin. Or if you're feeling that it's very speculative, you can take 2/3 of it out. So essentially, take twice your principal out, and you leave a little bit of a moon bag. If you just completely just feel like, you know what, I just don't trust this coin, sell it all, take it into profit, and then redistribute that back. And just to go back to the example that we had earlier about the $10,000, how I was saying you initially do 20% and then you do maybe 10% to 20% every week from that point on. What I recommend to people also is keep 20% of that money in cash for a while, for when good deals show up. A lot of guys are kind of blowing their whole wad right away and don't have any dry powder. There's a lot of people that are, they're trying to work extra hours right now because they're like, wow, these prices are insane, because they know where the prices are going, basically, because you multiply your dollars if you put them into cryptocurrencies, which is I love it so much.
Yeah, exactly. I just seeing Gary's asking a few questions here. He said, "Do you need Zoom for the course?"
Yes, basically you can download. I mean, it's free to download, right? So we do the course on Zoom. If we do have over 1,000 people, we may use another service, but basically, yes, Zoom will be the way we do the webinars. Yes,
and I mean, Zoom is, it's very, very simple and free to download, so there's no issues there. And it's a really good. I quite like Zoom actually. I've never had any issues with it. I think it works pretty well, until you get up to that point where, your audience is getting a lot bigger, which obviously you guys are. Yamaguchi says, I watched Charlie's old videos, and the same people from the comment section are still with him now after 2 years and are rich. If that's not a sign of legitimacy, I don't know what is.
That's a pretty good way of looking at it, Yamaguchi.
Yeah, exactly. You've got the Discord chat as well, haven't you? Is that still going?
We're doing Telegram this time around because we found it was a lot simpler for the majority of people. But yeah, we do the Telegram where everybody kind of has one place to chat. And then we also put the links for different resources there. We also have a Google Drive where we keep notes and different things to share with people. So very, very dedicated to giving you guys all the information you can get. Easy to access.
That's cool. That's good. I do like Telegram actually, so that'll be good. DJ Finesse says, I mean, we've sort of covered this, but I guess there is this wider point. With all the fear in the market, what would you say to those doubting the future months, years in crypto? Because I suppose, we were talking about the fear factor in all of this. And I suppose one of the things with crypto is it's still relatively new, right? And there are the doomsters and the gloomsters who might say, well, it's all a flash in the pan and, and this is the end of the road and all that.
They've been saying that since Bitcoin was
Exactly. But I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just, I think John from Modern Life Dating, one of the things he likes to say is timing the market is better than timing the market. And, entry point for when you do get in the market does affect how much fear you have and how much greed you have. And I think the longer you're in the market, right, the less fear that you have because the more experience that you have with the volatility. So mainly you just have to kind of get in the market with what you're willing to lose, make sure that you don't want to touch that money for several years. And then, once you have that experience, you'll understand it. But I would say if you're doubting crypto long term, then what you should be doing is going into the fundamentals and understanding what you're investing in, because don't get in anything that you don't understand, right? Like you can come into the course and learn about it. You don't have to be invested in it. You can just buy the course to learn about crypto. And then if you think, yeah, this is something for me that I think I can use to make money, now I understand it, then great. That's, one step in the right direction. I mean, Miguel, with the fundamentals, was there anything that when you were first researching that kind of helped to alleviate some of your fears, or how did that work out for you?
Yeah, it was mostly just seeing like the evolvement. What I was researching right in the beginning, I just heard about Bitcoin. That's all I thought that was out there. I thought it was just Bitcoin, and then I found out there's Ethereum, then Litecoin. Then I found out there was like Solana and Kusama and Dot and everything. It wasn't just Bitcoin. It wasn't just like one community. It was multiple different communities that sprung up from Bitcoin. Bitcoin was like the father chain or the mother chain, and they gave birth to all these other chains that just bring in like all types of different personalities. I mean, that's what really, because at the end of the day, these cryptocurrencies need people.
Yeah.
And I am seeing so much innovation in the space. Like that's what really helped me out. Like just seeing the birth of Ethereum, and then with these centralized contracts where you can be like, obviously Bitcoin's DeFi, and Bitcoin, I could send Bitcoin to you, and there's nothing the government can do to stop that transaction. If I send it to you, it's going to you. That's beautiful. Then Ethereum took it to the next level with contracts where I could set something up where like I can use something like a Uniswap, where most exchanges around the world would shut down during volatility. A Uniswap was fully operational 24/7, did not go down at all during those times. So when you really need it, it's open and there for you and stuff.
Yes.
So it's wonderful. That's what makes me feel like that. Like I see the innovation. Like everybody here is working really hard. Like the reason it's so hard to keep up sometimes by yourself is because of how much innovation is being done all the time. How hard people are working. This is a 24-hour space. Like the equities market's only open 5 days a week with bank hours. This is 24/7, 365. No vacations, no days off, no nothing. It is all year. It never turns off.
Yeah, exactly. On the research side of things, sorry, we're coming up on the hour now, so we will. Obviously, I know you guys have had a busy schedule, but sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just on the research side of things. How long would you research? Say you're looking at a new coin.
Okay.
Is there a rule of thumb for how long you research that? And obviously, in the course, you talk about resources and where to look for information. But I mean, Do you spend a long time researching coins, or?
Okay. So in terms of for me, because I've been already doing this for since basically late 2016. You eventually get sort of a sense if something's kind of like a scam token or not, typically right off the bat. So that if I start getting all these, this is some scam token, out of here, right?
Yeah.
But if it actually is a serious token, I could spend up to a full day or more on it. You don't have to do that crazy amount, but if you're going to put your money into it, I would do some serious amount of research into it, especially if you're going to put your hard-earned money into a coin. The first thing I do is obviously I go in CoinMarketCap. I check out the price of the token. I see its market cap. That I see what's its circulating supply, what's its total supply. I see if what does the project do. I go on its website. Is the website good? The website's one of the big tall tale signs. Is it kind of a janky website and stuff like we're going to change the world. We're going to be the decentralized virtual machine for the planet, and the website's like janky, like this doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, like
bad sign.
It's not pretty bad sign, right? Another thing too. How long has it been around? You guys, we're gonna take over the world, right? We've been around for such a long time. You see a lot of inconsistencies. Like a project might only be around for about a month.
Yes.
Yes. You typically want to get the projects are a little bit older, but not too old and stuff and everything. So it's just sort of this weird sort of kind of place with that. But we'll go through the website, see if you understand what they're doing. From there, you would go into YouTube, and then you would essentially search out that cryptocurrency and the name of the cryptocurrency plus cryptocurrency at the end. And we teach all this in the course, how to research these tokens. And then from there, you would start researching the token. I would probably watch 5 to 10 different videos explaining it over and over. And it gets very repetitive. But that's what I actually want from guys is listen to 10 individual videos from 10 different content producers on YouTube to get and that'll give you the full picture on what it really is. And then eventually by the 10th video, you'll be like, this is a centralized coin that'll be used for the marketplace. And then by listening to 10 videos, it gives you basically almost 99% of the information, because typically on one of those videos, there'll be some information that wasn't in the first video that's in the 8th video. And then something news in the 6th video. And that gives you the whole picture from there. Then from there, you would, if you're really going even deeper into the project, you would start searching the YouTube search bar for the most current video on the topic. And then the most current video on the topic typically has the most up-to-date news on the project. And then there's even, it can delve even deeper than that, where you can then go on their official Telegram group and their Discord, and you can become part of their community and then make friends in the community. And then what ends up happening over time is people like, hey dude, Troy, dude, I just heard from the dev right now. Like they're about to launch this upgrade next week, dude. Bro, really? Holy crap! And this is what happens if you get involved. It just depends on how much time you want to dedicate to it, and if it's a project you actually believe in and the product works, you know.
No, good advice there. And finally, because we do need to draw to an end, but Yamaguchi has got a good one here. When the bull market's over, are there still ways to make good money?
Yeah, definitely. I would say one thing that's in, I was just typing a chat to him as well, because I thought that was a very, very good question. One of the things that we have in this current market with crypto that we didn't have in 2018 when the market was down, or 2017 when it was up, was a way to generate yield or earn interest on your coins. So by compounding your coins over time, right? For example, with your Bitcoin or your Ethereum or other coins, even with just US dollar coins, right? A stable coin stable to the US dollar, which there's two that are very popular, one called USDT, another one called USDC. You can earn 10% interest on platforms like Celsius just holding your dollars on them. So what does that mean? That means, let's say you hold 10%. There we go. Exactly. Just exact same thing. If you have, let's say, $1,000 on there, and then you hold that on there for a year, you get $100 free. You have $10,000 on there, you get $1,000 free over the course of a year, and you get that paid out to you every Monday. So divide that by 52, and that's what you get every single week in your account. And that doesn't seem like a lot of money to begin with, but it compounds over time. And those types of things, if you do the math on those, it tends to outweigh most other people's returns from trading. So compounding and earning interest on your coins there is better than you can do in a bank as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Celsius is paying 8.8% currently for USDC. So
yeah,
I mean, some of the returns you can get on these things are just, compared to a bank, is just, it's just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, thanks ever so much for coming in, guys. It's been awesome to chat with you as always. Did you have any final thoughts or final things that you wanted to say before we sign off? Obviously, the link to join the course, you've only got until Monday evening, by the way, to join the course. I think it's probably Monday at midnight.
Correct.
So the link is below in the description. I'm putting it into the chat. But yeah, if you've got any final thoughts.
No, I'd say definitely, if you want to use this time to learn something new, if you're somebody who's brand new to crypto, and find a way to, incrementally improve yourself when it comes to your finances, crypto is one of the ways that you can do this most efficiently this decade. It's a brand new thing, so it is a little bit uncomfortable for some people to begin with, but if you are the type of person who can do something, bit by bit consistently, and, find maybe 15 to 30 minutes a day in your life that you can use to devote yourself to improving your finances, then I think, you can gain a good amount of information from us here. So, we don't push this on anybody, but I highly recommend that people give it a shot. So, DCC.
I mean, all I gotta say, this is the future of finance. All the money. This really is the greatest wealth transfer in history. It's not going to happen all in 1 year, but it's going to happen within this next 10 to 15 years. Basically, the generation and the generation that is the baby boomers and their parents, all that wealth will be end up given to the next generation, which is the millennials and the Zoomers, through this medium, basically, as well as the Xers. I would just tell people, learn about the space. Obviously, if you don't take the course, learn about it, get comfortable with it, but it will benefit you in your whole life just knowing about this space, because from this course right here, it could even if you were so skeptical, you took the course and were so skeptical about cryptocurrencies, you will learn enough from the course to protect yourself from scams that would end up happening to you later on. Because eventually, a lot of the people the scammers that are on YouTube for the equities and real estate are going to start coming into the space and coming in with their slick, their what MLMs and all this other stuff, that like the younger generation might not know about, and try to trick people into stuff. So this is just a way to get ahead of the curve and know who's actually, who's got what it takes,
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's like John says, isn't it? Even if you don't voluntarily get involved with crypto now, you will eventually, inevitably be. Crypto will get involved with you. So it's just, this is how it is. And like the guys are saying, I mean, this is the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of the world. And if we are men who are looking to self-actualize, we're looking to gain freedom, we're looking to gain autonomy in our lives, and have maybe some degree of location independence and so on and so forth. Maybe freedom from the daily grind. Then this is something that you definitely need to be looking at without a shadow of a doubt. So I highly recommend that you guys go and check out the link to Crypto Mindsets now and take action, because it's a bloody fantastic course. And I'm looking forward to coming in. I'm looking forward to being in the webinars, guys. So
likewise, man.
Yeah.
Very, we thank you very much for having us here today. It was a pleasure being here, and always a pleasure speaking with you about this.
Absolutely. Good stuff, guys. Thank you ever so much for coming on. Right, we will leave it there for today. Hope everyone's got loads of value from this. Please do click through to join the course, as we said, and we'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.